Hello, I'm Nora and welcome back to Novels with Nora. I am here to once again rearrange my bookshelves. Now, I did this at the beginning of the year, I think in like February or March, around there sometime, and I took everything off of my shelves, completely like decluttered, unhauled a whole bunch of stuff, and then put everything back on in the way you see it now. And that is not what I'm going to be doing today because I don't have a need to do it quite that intensely. However, I have quite a few books that I've gotten recently that are just sitting on a stack on my shelf. I don't think you can see, yeah, because they're down here, but I just have a whole stack of books that don't fit on the shelves. And that has become the main issue, is that every time I get a new book, I don't have room for it currently. So I just put it on the shelf, like just sitting there. And so I don't have room for them. And in looking at my shelves, I feel like a lot of the books that I have on here are not really a good representation of me as a reader. So there are going to be a few things that I'm unhauling. And also I just need to kind of rearrange to make room for the things that I need to put on the shelves. So I have started by taking off all of the trinkets and dusting. And another thing is that I am just overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff on my shelves. If you saw in September, I did like a getting ready for fall vlog where I decorated my shelves for fall. And I loved the way they looked, but I was just so overwhelmed by the amount of stuff on them because as much as I wish I was a minimalist, I am a maximalist, as I'm sure you can tell. So I have a lot of things, but I have found that the more stuff is in my eye line, the more clutter, the more anxious I feel. And like, I've known that, but I just love little trinkets. So it's so fun for me to just fill my shelves with them. But then it's like, I'm not even seeing the books through the layer of trinkets. So I think I might also redecorate and just kind of tone down the amount of stuff I have on there. If you're hearing weird noises, my dog is licking his paws under the camera. But anyway, so like I said, I've already taken all the trinkets off and dusted, which has been needing to be done for a long time, but I'm going to step aside so you can kind of see what we've got going on. And there are two shelves, or I guess technically 2.5-ish shelves lower that you can't see. You are on my phone, propped up on my bed, and then my shelves are right here. So like my legs are touching the bed. I am now as far away as I can get. Like, I do not have a whole lot of space here, which is also why my shelves are constantly in a state of flux, because this is all the storage space I have for books. I have like one little cubby on some shelves over there that you see when I sit in my chair. You can see that little shelf, but that is for all of my library books. So this is all the storage space I have for my books. So I have to constantly be rearranging and kind of like taking things out to put new things in, or else I simply run out of space. And that means that my shelves, like I said, are in a constant state of flux. So this is what I have currently. And then down here, the shelf that you can kind of just see the top of here is really just kind of a special edition shelf. I have all my editions of the Twin Crown series, and then all of my Samantha Shannon Roots of Chaos books, and then some more special editions, of which I will be getting rid of some. So, and then under that, I have another shelf, and then one more shelf of like romance and nonfiction, because I don't have that many of them. And then on this side, this shelf that you can see, then I have one more shelf that's like, this shelf, when I bought it, I thought it was the same as this one, and clearly it is not. It is a completely different wood, different height. The shelves are at different levels, and so they don't line up, and so the shelves also don't line up. And so this one here is like ginormously tall, and so it makes it so that I have to like stack the books rather than putting them like this, because then it's just like a waste of space. So this shelf here that you can't see, but is there, I promise, is my Reader Unhaul shelf, and then the one below that holds all of like my childhood books, and then also all of my comics and things are down there. So I won't be doing anything with those bottom two shelves because the Reader Unhaul books, they're all staying there for when I read or unhaul them, and then my like childhood books and comics and things, those stay there. So I still have a lot to go through, obviously. So I'm just going to start by going shelf by shelf through every single book on these shelves and looking at it and like holding it and thinking, do I need to keep this? Now, I'm not going to pull like every single thing off because there's a lot of things that I know are staying. Like these two shelves, pretty much nothing is coming out of these two except like one or two things. And like I know what those are because these I consider like my favorites shelves, which is also not an apt entitlement of them because I have so many new favorite things that just everything's just kind of a mess right now and everything's just on there wherever it'll fit. So like I said, I'm feeling a little scrambled in how I'm going to do this because I need to get rid of things, but I don't have a place to put them once they come off of my shelves. So I'm just going to start by going through shelf by shelf and taking out all of the things that I'm even considering getting rid of, and then I'll come back to you and see where we're at from there. Okay, one step at a time. Okay, that was honestly easier and much faster than I thought it was going to be, and I also collected quite a few more books than I thought I was going to. So this stack over here are all the things that I either know I'm going to get rid of or that I'm questioning. And then this stack are the things that need to fit on the shelves somewhere. Oh, and that reminds me, all the way up here, I always forget about these books because I never look up here, which, you know, is part of the problem, but these ones also need to go in the pile and they will not even fit. So they're just going to go right there. So clearly, there's a lot of things here, and that did open up quite a bit of space on my shelves that I'm very excited about. So what I think I'm going to do now is go through all of these, tell you what they all are and why they have made it into this pile. So starting at the top, I have 2 romances, starting with If the Shoe Fits, which is a crazy size of a book. This is like a normal paperback. It's like taller and wider a little bit. Very odd. But this was in this series that I think might even still be ongoing, but a meant to be novel where different like prominent romance authors were writing romance novels about, or like I guess based on like the Disney movies. And so this one was Cinderella, and I read it from the library and then liked it so much that when I saw it in the store, I bought myself a copy, but I have not read anything in this series since this one. I have no desire to do so and will never reread this. I have like fond memories of it, but I have no need to own it. So this one is being unhauled. Similarly, I have The Switch by Beth O'Leary. This was one of the first romance novels that I read that I like really loved. I had such a great time with this, and that's why I bought myself a copy. However, I have not thought about it since finishing it, and I am just like, I am not a primarily romance reader, and so when I do want to read romance, I want something new and fresh, and I don't really reread as it is, so I'm definitely not going to reread in a genre that I don't read as it is, but I did have a really good time with this and would recommend it. Like, genuinely great book. I really liked it because it wasn't like super romance heavy. There was like a lot going on outside of just the romance, and I really enjoyed that, but I don't need to hold on to this. I will never reread this. Then I have from my nonfiction shelf, I have this Making a Difference Feminist Literary Criticism that I got while I was in school, and I just don't know that I'm ever going to actually read this. Like, I might hold on to it just to see. Like, there's some interesting like essays, I guess, in here, so I'll hold on to it for now just to see, because this is something that like I would have really been interested in while I was in school. So now that I'm out, I might still be interested in picking this up. This is definitely just like an academic text. Like, this was like someone's textbook for sure. So I don't know, I'll hold on to it for now. It's also like really nice and floppy, like high quality paper and everything, but I'll hold on to it for now just because I don't own that many nonfictions, and that shelf is not one that's in need of clearing out space. So I'll hold on to it for now. And if it's still on my shelves by the next time I need to do this, then it'll probably get the boot. Okay, then from the next shelf up, I have Valiant Ladies and Wild Blue Wonder. And both of these are things I really loved. I just talked about this in my Sapphic September recommendations video. But starting with Wild Blue Wonder, I read this quite a few summers ago and genuinely really enjoyed it. It's about this like kind of magical summer camp. I really like this author's writing. I just have no desire to reread this. And so I don't think I need to hold on to it. Like, I really... Yeah, this will be much better in someone else's hands rather than just collecting dust on my shelves. And I think that's the same with Valiant Ladies. I really loved this when I read it. I pre-ordered it, I loved it, read it, loved it, had a great time. I'm never gonna reread it. Like, I have a lot of great memories with this book. I really, really enjoyed the story, and I have not read anything similar to it, but I think that it does not make sense to take up space on my shelves anymore. And like, that makes me kind of sad to say, because I did really enjoy this book, and it was very unique, but it was also kind of like a mystery, and like once you've read it once, you know what the mystery is, you know like who did it, so then it doesn't really make sense to hold on to it to reread it. No, and again, I'm not someone who rereads a lot of things, so I don't think it makes sense to hold on to it. So this might be like a last minute, like I'm taking books somewhere to donate them, and while I'm in the car, I'm like, wait, let me get that one back. But for now, it's going to go in the unhaul pile. And I'm going to change into a t-shirt because despite it only being like 56 degrees outside, I'm getting hot. Okay, now that I am cooled down a little, let's continue. So I think I'm gonna go next with The Majesties. I read this year, or like just a few months ago, honestly, in a reader on haul video, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. Had a great time with it. Was like really glad that this was something I owned and could like go back to. I have not thought about this book once since finishing it. Because it's like bright yellow, my eye is drawn to it on the shelf. I'm like, oh yeah, that was a fun book. that's it. And I'm never gonna reread this. This is another one where it's like, once you kind of like solve the mystery, you could reread it with like a deeper understanding of what's going on, but I'm never gonna do that. So this one is also going to go. So while in the original Reader Unhaul, I read it and kept it, now I will be unhauling it. So we'll have to do a check-in at the end of the Reader Unhaul challenge to be like, what did I keep that I ended up getting rid of, and what did I get rid of that I wish I had kept? Because this is one that I kept and am now getting rid of. Okay, then let's see, over here from the same shelf, I have Natural Beauty and A Botanical Daughter. And I have read both of these this year, I think, and really enjoyed both of them. This one is so floppy, and I really enjoyed this. Like, I had a very good time with it. I just have not thought of it again since finishing it, and it's not something that, a lot of these are things that, like, even if I do think about them after finishing them, I'm not going to reread them, and they didn't, like, stand out to me enough to keep on my shelves as just, like, the book itself, you know? And so, like, I really did enjoy this. I will read future things from this author. I just don't think that I need to hold on to this one because I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So this one is going to go to a new home. And I think the same can be said for A Botanical Daughter, because I read it and I really enjoyed it, but I also know that I will never reread this one also, because if I did for some reason decide that I wanted to reread it, I would not read this copy because it's so stiff that just like the physical reading experience of this was not enjoyable. And I read it, I got from it what I could, and I'm going to pass it on to someone else. Then I have a book that I actually really enjoyed in This Delicious Death. I like really love this, but again, I read it, I got from it what I could, I had a great time with it, but now it's time for someone else to also have a great time, because this is not one that I will ever reread, because I enjoyed it while reading it, but looking back, I'm like, this isn't like the best book, you know? Like, my enjoyment of it at the time stands, and like that is what it is. But if I were to reread it, I think it would diminish my enjoyment, and I would be more nitpicky with it because I already know the story. And so I'll see, a lot of these I'll see if my brother wants them and he wants to read them, because this was his originally and then I took it from him, so I'll see if he wants it back. But otherwise, this one is going to go in the unhaul pile for good, just because Reddit, it doesn't need to stick around. And I think the same could actually be said for these next two as well. So then I have Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. And I read this year for a Buzzwordathon video. I really enjoyed it. It just, I know that I won't reread this because like I enjoyed it, but I also had a lot of issues with it at the same time. Just like my own personal enjoyment was not as great as it could have been. And so I know I won't ever reread this. And also this author has written like so much. I have Compound Fracture from him checked out from the library right now. So I just don't feel the need to hold on to this. But that's it. Sometimes I keep feeling like I need to like dig for like a deeper reason and like more explanation for why I'm getting rid of them. But like at this point, these books just aren't serving me anymore. I've either read them and haven't loved them and so don't need to hold on to them, or I know that I'm not going to get to them and then don't need to hold on to them. So I don't need to keep justifying myself, but that is what I feel the need to do. And then next I have Violet Made of Thorns, this is one that I'm kind of on the fence about because I read this and really enjoyed it. Like I had a very good time, but I also, even while enjoying it, I could recognize that it's objectively not a very good book. Like this author has said multiple times on like all of their platforms that this is not the book that they wanted to write. I think what happened was she had wanted to write a duology, and then something with the publisher, it just got combined into this one novel, and like it shows because the first like 75% you're like, okay, going with it, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, explosion of things happening. It's too much, too fast, and it's just like rushed and not well executed towards the end. And like it sucks because you could tell that this author was like kind of disappointed in herself and the book that she then put out, but at the same time, like it is the book that I now have. So if another one were to come out or she were to like rewrite it or something, I would definitely be interested in picking it up. But for now, this one can go. I had my fun with it, but I can also recognize that like even the author recognizes that this is not the work that she wanted to put out. So I will be passing this one on. Moving on now to this stack, I have quite a few things that I'm actually kind of disappointed in. First is this deluxe exclusive edition of Caraval that comes in this slipcase. First of all, I hate a book in a slipcase, but I did not realize that until after I bought this. So it comes out and then it's just the book. But also these pages, I have never seen a book written on such like stark white pages. Let me see if I can find something to compare it with. Like this is like the normal color of a book page. Why are they, it's like printed on printer paper. It's crazy. And so I just know that I'm never going, I unhauled my copies of the Caraval trilogy, all of which I read twice, but I ended up unhauling them because I was like, I know I'm never going to reread them. And so when this came out, I was like, oh, I can just like have this and that'll be like my marker of having read this series. But now it just sits on my shelves and I think it's ugly because when it's on my shelf, this is what you see. That's not fun. And then even if I take it out of that, this is what you see. So I just feel like I don't know, this is really pretty. I like this, but this is not what you see when it's on my shelves, and I don't have the space to like have anything facing outward other than Three Dark Crown because there's so many of them. So this does have like exclusive content back here that's like journal entries and like things like from the author, which is super cool, but I've never looked at them. So maybe I'll look through this before getting rid of it and then be like, oh yeah, that's cool, and then move on. Because I read Caraval when I was still in 8th grade. I have now graduated from college and I'm in grad school, so it has just been quite a while, and I have so much distance between myself and these books that they don't mean as much to me now as they once did, and so holding on to this just is not something that I need to do. And I also hate a slipcase. So I'm gonna pass that one on to someone else who loves Caraval more than I do at this point in my life. And then some other special editions. I have Jade Fire Gold, which I believe this is a Fake Crate edition, and I really enjoyed this book. I actually had a lot of fun with it, but I remember finishing it and thinking, oh, I feel like we're kind of setting up for a sequel. So I was holding on to it, waiting for a sequel to be announced or like a companion novel or something, and nothing has been announced, so clearly it is just a standalone, but it didn't feel like that to me. Like, yes, it was like, it did wrap up the story, but there's like something at the end that made it, in my head, I was like, oh, there's going to be something else, and there just has not been, and that's the only reason I've been holding on to it, because I don't even really remember what happened in here. I just remember thinking, oh, I feel like there's going to be more, and so I want to hold on to this to be able to reread it before whatever comes next. Nothing is coming next, so I can safely say now that I can get rid of this, and then if something else is announced, I can get it from the library to reread it before moving on to the next one, but I don't need to hold on to it anymore. Nothing else is going to be announced. I don't even remember what happened in here, just that I felt like there should have been more. So I think that means that I'm safe to say it can go. Then, kind of similarly, I have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, and this is the Fairy Loot edition, and it is stunning. This came from the era of my life where anytime I saw a Fairy Loot edition that I thought was really pretty, even if I had no interest in the book, no knowledge of the book, I would seek it out and buy it secondhand for an exorbitant price because I was experiencing so much FOMO and I had a job for the first time, so I had my own income, so I said, let me get on this because I can. And this is what happens. I did read this. I did enjoy it. I think it's absolutely stunning, like truly beautiful. I even have like the tarot cards that are left in here. Like this art is genuinely just like some of the most stunning art ever. I love it so much. But I didn't love the book that much. So does it make sense to hold on to it? I'm gonna say no. So I think I'm going to pass this one on. And I know that someone's going to be so excited to find this special edition of a book just like out and about in the world. Because once, I really am just like so angry at myself for spending this much money on these special editions that I didn't get around to until like this year or last year, and like then just kind of thought we're okay. And so I'm so mad at myself for spending all of that money. This was probably like an $80 book. Yeah, and so it's like I will not resell it because I feel guilty for buying it, so I don't want to. Imagine the guilt I would feel for selling it. So I'll either give it to like my half-price books, because that's just where I take all my books, because my library does not accept donations, so there's just not really another good way for me to get rid of all of these. And I could like take them to a thrift store, but like I don't really have good thrift stores in my area, so usually half-price books is just where I take all of them. And they have a whole section now of special edition books that are a little bit more expensive than like regular books, but not nearly as exorbitantly priced as like a Mercari or Depop or Pango Books. So people who like just like out in the world who enjoy books can actually get them in person, and I think that's super cool. So this will be added to that shelf at my half-price books. I got distracted when I pulled out these tarot cards because they look so similar to the ones from Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Like the style and oh, they are in here. Okay, so here are the Daughter of the Moon Goddess ones, and I know that they're gonna look similar because they're done in like the same art style, but I feel like even you think I got them mixed up? I think that might be what happened here, because this one looks like, that's why I got so confused. These ones look like the Daughter of the Moon Goddess characters, at least the way I was picturing them and in other art I've seen. And when I opened it and saw these, I said, who are these people? So I think these might be the Daughter of the Moon Goddess ones, actually. How would I find that out? I'm not sure. But for now, I'm just going to set them to the side in the same books that they were in. Now I'm confused. But anyway, I'm going to keep them where they originally came from, but interesting. Okay, I'm gonna put all of this away and then get back to you for the rest of the books. Okay, now that our tarot card confusion is over, when I opened it to put them back in, I was reminded of why I bought this book in the first place, because this is so pretty. If I could have this as an art print, I would just buy that, because like that's the thing about end papers. It's like they're super cool. You only see them when you're reading the book. And even then, not really, because you have the pages open. But like this is some of the most stunning art. I love the colors. I love everything about that. So like I wish I could have that as an art print, but unfortunately that is not the case. So oh well for me, I guess. But anyway, moving on to the next thing. We have one, I guess two last actually, special editions. Then I have Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I did read this a few months ago and I really enjoyed it. It just is one of those things that like really did not stick with me, and it really reminded me of Erin A. Craig's writing, but I like her writing more than this, and she is starting to branch out into adult novels, and I don't own her most recent adult novel that she's written, A Land So Wide, and it's actually a very similar color scheme to this, and I feel like I'd rather have that on my shelves than this, so I'm going to pass this on to someone to put that on my shelves. I know exactly what I'm replacing this one with. And this is another one where I fell into the trap of, it's really pretty, I should buy that, even though I've never heard anything from this author prior to buying this, and had never heard anything about this book, and also it like was not in the genres of things that I typically read when I bought it, and it's still not really, but like I just thought it was stunning. With these are like the most, I think these are the prettiest sprayed edges that personally I've ever seen. I like how simple they are. I like how they carry on through the cover. I don't love the unpaper art in this one, like, because I didn't really care for this book. So this one can go. I kept it because it was so pretty, and again, I spent a lot of money on it, but this one doesn't, like, it doesn't mean anything to me. So I'm going to pass this one on as well. And then the final special edition I have is a Fake Crate edition of Last of the Talons, which I just read, I think, last month in a Reader Unhaul video, and I said I was going to unhaul it because this book, so many things were all packed into here that none of them were done well. Like, they were all fine, but because there were just so many plot points, so many characters, so many things, none of them were done exceptionally well. So I will be passing this one on. This is an exclusive cover, so someone else will be happy to find this, and it's in a series, and I will not be continuing on with the series, so this one is going to get passed on. Then I have The Fervor, which I have known I've been going to get rid of. This was from the video I did where I read Blind Date with the Books, and I enjoyed this one more than the other one that came out of there, but even when I was reading it, I was like, this is not something that I'm going to love. It never even made it onto my shelf. It's one of the ones that just sat like in a pile on the shelf. Like, you see how this pile is? This is honestly even the pile of things that have just sat there. They just sit there like this, taking up space, blocking the view of the other things. And this has been one of them. And so this one is going to move on. And then I have Ghost Station. If you are at all familiar with me, you would know that Dead Silence by this very author, S.A. Barnes, is one of my favorite books of all time. And this is her second novel. And so when it was announced, I was so excited about it. It's like finally more from this author. And I was so deeply disappointed. And I have kept it on my shelves right in this spot, right next to Dead Silence, just like holding on to it. It felt like holding on to hope. But now that I'm getting rid of all these other books, I will never reread this. This is a disgrace on my shelf. It wasn't even that bad of a book. It just, Dead Silence was genuinely so good. And then this was just like so, bleh, bleh. I felt so indifferent towards this book that keeping it next to Dead Silence felt like a crime. So this one will finally be leaving my shelves. And then finally, I have The Wolf of Oroñaro and The Icazar Falcon by K.S. Veloso, which I had attempted to read this one, and I think I got like 60 pages in, and I even said I'm putting it down for now because I just cannot get into this story, and I have no interest in picking it back up. And like, do you see how thick this is? Yeah. For some reason, I had it in my head that I saw a booktuber that I really liked talking about these books, and so when I saw them at my half-price books, both of them, I was like, oh, I can get them together and just like already have them, because I've never seen them like in a Barnes & Noble or anything, so that when I decide to get around to them, I already have both of them. I started reading this one, did not like it, could not get into it, and then when I tried to find the video that I thought I saw that YouTuber talking about the books in, non-existent. So I'm not really sure what I thought was doing, but this is a reminder, do not buy a full series, or any, just like multiple in a series, before knowing that you're going to enjoy it. Because now I have to get rid of these and send them right back to that half-price books that I took them from in the first place. So that is everything that I am unhauling, which is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I don't know where I'm going to put all of these until I can get to the half-price books to get rid of them. But let me count how many there are and then get back to you real quick. That is 19 books that I am unhauling, which is, again, a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And then I also have a whole like bin of books that as I finished them and know I'm not going to keep them and didn't even want to put them back on my shelves, they're in there. I'm not going to go through all of those because they're things you've already heard me dislike, so I'm not going to rehash all of those things. So those combined with these, combined with anything that my brother wants to get rid of, we will be taking a lot of things to the half-price books. But now I have some space on my shelves to do a little bit of rearranging. And also you see over here, this is my stack of things that needs to get put back on the shelves. So I know I just said don't buy more than one in a series. If you don't know, you're going to enjoy it. And that's kind of exactly what I did here with The Jasad Heir and The Jasad Crown by Sarah Hashem. But I was drawn in by these books, specifically the art prints, and I read excerpts of these books and was in like a author interview with a different author and this author together, and she just seemed like such a lovely person, and these are like right up my alley of the type of fantasy that I typically enjoy. So I felt fine buying both of these together. And I think now that I got rid of the other two, I think they're going to take their place right up here. This is like my high fantasy section. I have the Poppy War, the Jasmine Throne, and now these two are going to go up there. Also because those books are just so big that it makes sense to just keep them up out of the way. Okay, so that has just made it so much harder for me to reach my mugs, but it looks cutie up there. So that's at least two things that I have put back on the shelves. And then these last two things, I don't know what I'm gonna do with, because it's Defy the Stars that came from the reader unhaul shelves. Sorry, Cheerio, my dog is sitting on the bed and it's making the tripod tip because the tripod is also on the bed. Very janky setup I have here, but we're making do. And I don't want to put this back on the reader unhaul shelves because I've already read it, but then I don't know where to put it. But then I'm also debating getting rid of this. And I think I am going to unhaul this one, which kind of sucks because it is signed by Claudia Gray, who is an author I really enjoy. I always say that, but I've read one other book from her and it was a Star Wars novel. So can I really say that? I'm not sure. But this is in a series and I really enjoyed this. I just don't see myself picking up the future ones in the series, and I definitely won't be purchasing them, especially because the covers for the second two in the trilogy don't match this one. And I much prefer this. So I think I'm also actually going to unhaul this. It's really pretty, and I did really enjoy this story. I just will not continue on, and if I do, I'm just going to read them from the library, so it doesn't make sense to keep this one. I don't think so. So that's going in the pile of things to unhaul. That makes that easier. And then finally, I have Lady Dragon by A.M. Strickland, which unfortunately, I think I would probably unhaul at some point. Not right now, though, because I'm using this for an assignment. If you saw my last video where I talked about having to do my book talk for one of my classes, I'm using this as one of the books, so I'd like to have it to like hold up. And also, like, I'm gonna keep it for a little while and see if my thoughts change at all, because I thought it was just kind of meh, but I did enjoy it, so I'm going to put it on the shelves. It should go technically right here, but I don't have room because these are my other two A.M. Strickland books. It just won't fit on this shelf, so I might have to do some rearranging here. I'm not sure how I would do that, but I might need to do that, so I'm just going to keep this up here for now. And then I have one more section of books that I kind of need to deal with. Aardvark Book Box was kind enough to reach out to me and ask if they could send me some things, and obviously I said yes. Who wouldn't love free books? And they asked for my genre preferences of things that I would be interested in receiving. And do I think they read that email? Yes. Do I think that they paid explicit attention to it? No. I got one book in here. They sent me 3 books, and I'm very grateful for all of them. Like, love that they even considered me and sent stuff to me, especially being such a smaller channel. They found me on my Instagram, which is a little bit bigger, but I'm also not very active over there, so I'm not sure why they picked me. Grateful, but confused. But they did send me Yours for the Taking, which is a book that I was already interested in prior to getting these, so I'm gonna hold on to this one. Also, I felt super excited that Aardvark was reaching out to me, because Kayla from Books and Lala is sponsored by them all the time, and she always says how, like, great these covers feel. And she is not wrong. I don't know what they do, but it is not the same way that a regular hardcover feels. I was always thinking, like, how good could it be? How different could it be? Oh my god. It has like that like matte, soft matte touch. I don't know how to explain it, but like it's nice. And I also like how they put their logo on here in a color that corresponds with the cover. And so it's still like not my favorite thing ever, but it's not on the spine. I have beef with Book of the Month because they put their logo on the spine. And so if I'm at a Half Price Books and like I see a book that is something that I want to own and I get excited, I then see that Book of the Month thing, I'm not buying it. I don't want those on my shelves. So I'm glad they don't do anything on the spine, and even what they do on the cover, which I get that they have to do something to like market it as themselves. I like that they color match. But anyway, I will be holding on to this one, which means I also need to put this one somewhere on the shelves. It's probably gonna go on this side somewhere. Where? I don't know, but there's that. And then the 2 other things that I'd never heard of before and don't really have a lot of interest in, but want to like give a fair shot, because someone on the Aardvark team thought that I might be interested in these. So I want to, give them a try. It is Salt Bones and We Lived on the Horizon. And so I want to give them both a chance. I just don't know that I'm going to enjoy them. So I'm going to hold on to them, give them a try, and then go from there. And they might end up in my next unhaul. They might not. We'll have to see. But I don't know where I'm going to put them, so they'll just go right there for now. But I promise those are all of the books that I need to get put back on the shelves. So I think I'm just going to start by kind of rearranging and seeing the best that I can do. Chio is now climbing on the books. Okay, anyway, I'm going to give you a time lapse of me just kind of like rearranging, seeing what I can do to try and make everything fit again. That was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be. I'm sure you saw I took out Princess of Souls that was right here and then just put Lady Dragon here because I had cleared the space from Ghost Station. I was able to put Last Hero, the last in this trilogy, actually on this shelf with the other ones. And then I don't know how well you can see, but I put the 3 aardvark books here. And then I moved Princess of Souls here. And that was really the only rearranging that I needed to do. And then I still have space on these 3 shelves to put more things in. And then also some space all the way on the end over here that you can barely see, but there is space. So that's honestly looking really great. The only thing that I forgot to tell you is that I just got my illustrated edition of Catching Fire. And so I need to put this in here. And this is something that is, you know, a lot harder to fit on the shelves because it is not the same height nor the same width as any other book. But I also have the first Hunger Games book illustrated edition. So I'm just going to stack this one on top or underneath it, do we think? Underneath it. That's how I have the other books in that stack in the series. So that just means I have to lift up everything else in that stack and put this in. So give me a minute. Okay. With a little maneuvering, I did get that in there. I had to move one thing up. So Go Hunt Me right here has been moved up here because it didn't fit stacked on top of that. But otherwise, that's everything back on my shelves. So now I get to put all the little trinkets back on. And hopefully less trinkets this time. Like I was mentioning, I just feel like I was too overwhelmed with the amount of stuff on there. So I'm going to start by putting back on all of the things that stay year round, like all my calico critters and things, and then do some slight seasonal decorating. So you'll get another time lapse for that. You know it's bad when you have to pull out the whole tote bag full of decor from your shelves. So I put everything back on in its like normal spot. So like this stuff and this and like most of this stuff is like my regular, not seasonal decor. And then I just added a few things like this little ghost plushie and then these little ghosts that my grandma makes. And then I have 2 little, oh, you can't see them. There are these 2 little like hamster guys that my mom got me, adorable. And then over here, I just have my Halloween calico critters. And then this pumpkin, I like it a lot. And then down here, which you also can't see, I have these 2 pumpkins that are squishy and made with like stems or branches, I guess. I really like these. And honestly, I really like how this looks. And then up here, I left this little pumpkin, but I think I might just leave it like this. As much as I love those other little pumpkin ceramics, like this whole bottom of this bag is full of, they're just like these little ceramic pumpkins that my grandma makes. I love them so much, but they are just so small and I get carried away when I put them out and I just keep putting more. So I think that I'm honestly just going to leave it as it is. Oh my goodness. Usually when I film, Gio just sits still, but not today. Anyway, I really like how this looks. Also, you would have seen in my get ready for fall, like decorate for fall vlog that I did in September, I had the like leaf garland. Yeah, it just kept falling down. So I just took it down and I'm going to put it back up somewhere else at some point. But it was kind of just pissing me off on the shelves. So I just took it down, but I'm going to step aside so you can see how this looks. Tell me in the comments if you think I should add more of those little pumpkins or if it's good how it is. Personally, I think it's good how it is. Also, I'm just not like a big seasonal decorator. My mom decorates the rest of the house. It looks great in here. I don't want to have extra stuff that I then have to change out again at a different time. So I think I really am just going to leave it like this. And if I decide that I want to add more, I can always just grab them back out of this bag and put them on. But I am liking how it looks. I'm much less overwhelmed when I look at my shelves and there's space. I need to get like some kind of bookend or something over here. The shelf has always been a problem, but that is not a me problem. That's not a problem for me today. So I am quite happy with how everything turned out. I have a little bit of space left in certain areas. I'm very happy with everything. So that is actually where I'm going to leave you because now I need to find a spot for all of the books that I'm getting rid of because they can't go back on the shelves and I don't know where I'm going to put them. So that is a me problem and that is a problem for me right now. So thank you so much for being here with me. If you have any thoughts on my shelves, my seasonal decor of my shelves, I would love to hear it. Otherwise, I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in another video again soon. Bye.